Hi everyone, Toasty here. Today I'm going to be diving into my thoughts about the game BELLWRIGHT after around 50 hours of playtime. If you haven't already watched my first thoughts videos after 20 hours of gameplay, and my top 5 beginner tips guide, then there will be links in the video description below. With the formalities done, let's crack on with the video. Village production. After 20 or so hours of setting up my tier 1 village, it occurred to me that this game was either extremely grindy, or the pacing or unlocks were far from balanced. More hours passed, and once I'd built the tier 2 village hall and upgraded the workstations such as the lumberjack or the mining outpost or the forager, BELLWRIGHT suddenly opened up and the income of passive crafting and resource gathering felt a little bit better. Now let's pause on the gameplay and take a quick look at the early game Steam achievements. The percentage of players completing what would be considered relatively simple tasks like build the village hall is extremely low. This indicates to me that the community's drive to continue playing the game at this point may have fallen off, which is understandable due to the previously mentioned slow pace of the game. However, I urge people to push through the tier 1 phase if you want to experience the true village life which the game has to offer. It does get better. Bandit raids and camps. Assaulting bandit camps and clearing them provides you with a lot of resources that are hard to craft initially. Once I had grown my village to tier 2 and recruited a handful of combat ready warriors, clearing tier 2 and 3 camps was my focus. Upgrading from tier 1 to tier 2 weaponry and armor really does make a difference in holding off an incoming raid on your village, and also helps with assaulting camps, as they do get harder as you fight tier 2, tier 3 and even tier 4 variants of bandits. I recommend taking plenty of arrows for your archers, lots of bandages to keep yourself and your people alive, and make sure that you feed your army fully to survive the fight. Food buffs in this game are simply needed. Health buffs, stamina buffs, XP buffs, you and your villagers need all of this, and fighting without food can be the difference between winning and losing. I will also say that the harder camps don't feel samey. They pose a greater challenge, and this really encourages you to actually continue enjoying the combat that the game has to offer. Assigning villager roles. As soon as you can build a couple of houses to grow your village, you can naturally then assign them to cover a majority of jobs effectively. Some of the tier 2 workstations allow 2 or 3 villagers to do the same role, meaning that you can have people foraging, hunting, and mining, creating a huge yield of resources. Make sure to check your villagers' stats and pair them with the highest stat possible for the job that makes sense. So if you've got somebody who has harvesting 3, put them on foraging, or mining, or in the lumberjack shack. But if you have someone who can go up to harvesting 6 or 7, prioritize them instead, because they, over time, will yield you a better income. Also, top tip, make sure that you're using skill books to increase your villagers' proficiency within that job role. So for example, give a hunter an archery or an agility book. The higher the stats, the better the yield, the better and easier your life is playing this game. Town liberation. I can happily confirm that I've now successfully liberated both Herndeen and Padstow. And oh god, it's quite the surprise. Fighting against the brigands is a whole new ballgame to deal with, and they hit like a truck. They also take quite a beating, so upgrade your weapons. The biggest advice I can give you. It caught me off guard. Once the village is liberated, you can unlock apprentice level NPCs, and you can trade with that liberated village every day via the world map. Simply click on the town, click on the trade tab, and bingo! There are limitations on what items the town will trade with you, but this is a great way to grab some materials at low cost, or use your overflowing hemp and flax to trade for the stuff that you need. This is a nice boost for crafting your next tiered gear. Village improvements. I've researched a handful of village improvements now, which you can build in a neutral town. This increases the reputation with them by a fixed amount. They are super cheap to research and even easier to build, and I highly recommend doing this instead of farming coins, wolf fangs, or even questing, to be honest. You can build multiple of the same improvement. You could build 3 village herb gardens, which nets you 400 rep each, totaling at 1200 within a small amount of time. These are crucial and save you a lot of time and effort because your villagers can build these for you. Overall, a lot of the features in BELLWRIGHT do evolve into greatness once you've sunk a good chunk of time into the game, and this is where I think the game is make or break for its reputation amongst those playing it. I've heard a lot of people giving up on the game around the tier 2 mark, either just before it or just after completion, saying that the game doesn't feel massively rewarding and it's very sluggish. And as much as I agree, this game is early access. The balancing of progression is always difficult in a survival game, or just games in general, and I hope that Donkey Crew will address a lot of these needed pacing elements in the early game to hold a player's attention for longer and get them stuck into the meat of the game far quicker. I wouldn't mind if the race from tier 2 to tier 3 was huge, but from 1 to 2 feels like such a barrier for entry. I can understand why some people may have shelved the game. I do encourage people to play BELLWRIGHT to experience the medieval life, and I more so lean towards playing this game co-op rather than solo. It's way more enjoyable and speeds the game up to a more quote-unquote bearable pace. And with that said, those are my thoughts after 50 hours of BELLWRIGHT. I hope you enjoyed this video and found some information useful. Subscribe to my content for more variety gaming, and come hang out on Twitch every Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.